This is Dave Fleming in the Ingenuity Lab. Welcome to Lifework, a podcast that explores insights and ideas at the intersection of who you are and what you do, your life work. Well, Houdini may have been one of the greatest escape artists ever to live. And surely he inspired generations of magicians to come after him. But there may be an escape artist not known to you that really rivals Houdini's skills. Believe it or not, it's me. I am also an escape artist, though I've never been chained and then put in the ground in a coffin. I've never escaped from an oversized milk bottle. I've never escaped from a square little room that was full of water and then chained. I've never escaped from a fish. All these things Houdini actually escaped from. I'm not making up the fish thing. Look it up. They actually inserted him into a giant sea creature, and he escaped. Yeah. Even though I've never escaped from any of those things, my skills rival those of Houdini's. And let me tell you why. Houdini was good at escaping from chains. I'm good at escaping from life. Ever escaped from life? Sometimes our escapes from life can get us into a lot of trouble. We may even call them addictions or dysfunctions or just not good distractions. Nothing wrong with a good old healthy distraction to take the mind off, the stress of life, or as the existential philosophers used to say, the angst of life. But there's a difference between a healthy distraction or diversion and being an escape artist. And since I've perfected this over the years, escaping from realities of life that I don't like, I thought I might share with you what I call the doom loop. The doom loop, which is the loop that really happens when you try to escape from life. And I don't know if you've ever tried to escape from life, if you've got anything that you might call an addiction or a dysfunction that you turn to when things aren't really going the way you want them to. But we'll see if you relate to this. Here's what happens to me. At some point during my day, I bump into what I call a harsher reality. This is something as simple as looking in the mirror and noticing myself. Like, for instance, I used to have hair, and now I don't. And that is reminding me that I am not just losing my hair, but I am getting older. A harsh reality. And that one day I will cease to exist. A harsh reality. Or it can be something much more significant. Maybe you get a phone call from the doctor and you can't believe what you hear. Maybe you don't get the promotion or you lose your job. Maybe someone you trusted betrays you. Perhaps a relationship that's important to you is fraught with all kinds of conflict. And one of these harsh realities faces you, or it wells up in the moment. Now, there's nothing really wrong about that. That just happens to be at the beginning of the doom loop. It really isn't the doom loop. It's what happens right before it. The thing that really triggers the doom loop is what we do next, or at least what I do. And that is, as I'm facing this unhappiness, this angst, I think, I've been happy. I remember being happy. I would rather be happy. But since happiness is not naturally coming my way right now, I'm going to, and here's step 3, manufacture happiness. I'm going to try to do something that will make me feel better, make me feel happy. The only problem is what I'm going to choose to manufacture is only going to create more of a problem. And that's when it often becomes a dysfunction or an addiction. And we reach for one of those things that makes life temporarily better, but in the long run, worse. And that leads to the fourth piece. And the fourth piece of the doom loop is the double harsh reality of the manufactured happiness runs out, and I feel the consequence of that, and I still have the harsh reality that got the whole thing going in the first place. So I may experience the coming off of the addiction, and that might create a guilt, or it might create something even worse than that in my life. And I turn around from that and, oh, there's that harsh reality that started this all off, still staring me in the face. And that leads me to the top of the doom loop again. A harsh reality, a wish for happiness, a reach for something to manufacture that isn't going to really do much for me other than in the moment. And then the consequence of that manufactured happiness rearing its head, making things worse. I come off of that only to face that harsh reality that got me going in the first place. That, my friends, is what I call the doom loop. Now, I want to give you one thing before we end that I hope will encourage you. There is a way out of the doom loop. Right at the beginning of the doom loop, remember what the doom loop starts with? A harsh reality that emerges in our lives. And when that harsh reality emerges, instead of remembering happiness, sit with the harsh reality. Don't try to change it. Don't try to fix it. Simply sit with it and let that harsh reality be real. Let it speak to you. Let it even make your moment difficult and hard. Wow, that doesn't seem like a good idea, does it? It seems like we should reach for manufactured happiness instead. But you know where that leads, right? It leads right back to the doom loop. What if instead you took even 5 minutes or 10 minutes and you sat with that harsh reality? Hey, one day I'm going to die. Instead of manufacturing joy to keep myself from facing that, as our Stoic friends would tell us, embrace it. Embrace the fate that one day you will no longer exist. That's okay. Sit with that. Let that appropriately and positively sting. Because you know what happens when you do that? You know what happens when you sit with the difficulty, when you sit with the harsh realities? They dissipate. Unless there's something else going on in our lives, or biologically there's something perhaps off with us, we have some sort of chemical issue going on in our brains. If we are in a pretty good space health-wise, and we will sit with the difficult moments, we will find them dissipate. We will find that we can embrace the sting of a moment, let it ride it like a wave, and come off it, and our mood will change. I want you to maybe think about trying this week when you face a harsh reality. Just sit with it, face it, and see if by facing it, you might be able to reduce its sway. And then instead of reaching for a manufactured joy, you just might find joy welling up in you, that you realize you faced down a harsher reality and it didn't win. It didn't win. And you might find joy coming back to you naturally. And then, hey, go have a beer. But be careful. Be careful, because we want the things that we do to divert ourselves or to interrupt the stress of life. We want those to be enjoyable, but never controlling who we are. Well, I hope that you will face the harsher realities of your life with a confidence and a courage. And as a result, find that doom loop doesn't have to control you. This is Dave Fleming in the Ingenuity Lab. Thanks for joining me for Lifework.